What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the G Team podcast. The G Team is a group of young people dedicated to
providing people with the knowledge to make the most of their life,
sharing practical ways to maximize productivity,
and offering support to those who need it to create a more fulfilled life.
My name is Peter.
And I'm Olu.
And we're your hosts for this podcast.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy listening. So today on the podcast, me and Peter are joined by Adnan and Sabrina, two other members of the G Team. And would you like to just quickly introduce yourself, starting with Sabrina?
Yeah, hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm Sabrina and I'm a content creator at the G Team. I graduated in 2019 from Manchester Met. And yeah, just since then I've been looking for employment, but it's quite difficult to find it in Corona times, but yeah.
Adnan.
Hello, everybody. My name's Adnan. I joined the G Team about a month ago. I'm an editor, so I do a bit of the video editing and audio editing. In my, this is in my free time. In my full time, I work as an estimator at a company that sells materials. So a lot of maths and a lot of problem solving, but all interesting stuff. And I graduated from university, Loughborough University, last year.
Lovely. So today, the main topics that we're going to be focusing on are self-discipline and goal setting. So I don't know, like, if you guys could just give us an example or even just anything that you do when it comes to goal setting that you found to be quite useful, like maybe just in your uni experience or like afterwards, but like what's really helped you or anything that you've tried to change, something new when it comes to goal setting.
It's quite a loaded question, yeah.
Sabrina, do you want to go ahead first? Or?
No, you go.
Okay. I'd say for me, goal setting or showing discipline is you're never going to achieve what you want to achieve without doing that, because it allows you to kind of forecast what you want to achieve and direct your energy towards something you want to achieve. But I'd say probably the best thing to do is to write stuff down, have a good think about it, contemplate, and set yourself kind of time frames. And I guess it depends on the how important you deem the goal, and to how strict you want to keep the time frame. But for me, I'd say like goal setting, or maybe I've set goals in the gym or something like that. It always helps if you create good habits at the start as quick as possible, and that takes a little bit of time. And once you do that, then you're kind of well on your way to getting where you want to be. Yeah,
what you said about writing things down, I this year was the first year I actually wrote down my New Year's resolutions. I've never done that before. I always just think in my head like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that, and then like by 3 months later I've kind of forgotten what the original ones were and I've made new ones or whatever. So this year I've made sure I wrote them down so I can always refer back to them, and then it's also easier to take mental notes of how much you've progressed over the year if you've actually written them down as well.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's kind of like that thing of just keeping a track record of yourself, isn't it? And keeping yourself accountable is a really good thing, actually. Writing it down. It's not something that I used to do until very recently as well. Quick G Team stat. What was it? I think writing your goals down.
42%.
40, there we go. 42. You'll be 42% more likely to achieve them if you write them down.
Yeah, no matter how big or small as well.
Yeah, and like you guys talked about, Adnan, you talked about sort of writing these all down so you can prioritize, right? And that's kind of something that I've been thinking about as well recently in terms of prioritizing goals. Is how do you prioritize? Because, for example, for me this year, just because technically I've had more time from being at home, right? Or we all do, right? So I've written a lot of different goals to occupy my time. but how would you prioritize those things, and how do you know sort of which ones to set aside for the time being anyways?
I'd say in my experience, or kind of over the last few years, what I feel like has been the best thing is different for everyone, first of all. And you kind of have to go with what you deem is necessary. But so, for example, at my time at uni, the most important thing was my studies. So if it came to prioritizing something to do with my studies, like an assignment or something, or revising for an exam, over something else like going to the gym or playing some sport or going to some training, then it would be the studies, because ultimately I'm at uni, I'm paying that money.
That's true.
To study. But when you're out of uni, it kind of changes, because you then decide what your goals are. You're no longer in an institution which decides
like
priorities
the
are.
boundaries. Yeah, they decide your boundaries.
Yeah. So now it's kind of like, okay, I'm working, which is great, and my career is something I should be focusing on. But my career is hopefully the next 50 years. So I need to think about prioritizing other things that matter a lot to me between now and then.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's basically you're prioritizing based on like sort of time and like just your current situation. I think one thing with me, and like when I have goals, and this kind of links back to your point, I struggle to just prioritize. I can't just think, okay, what's the most pressing thing? Because it'll be one thing that comes to my head, then it's the next thing, then it's the next thing, then it's the next thing. So it's like what you were mentioning before, like writing the goals down. Like that's something that I've done as well. And then once I've written them down, it's like you said, you're more aware of them like mentally as well. So you don't always even have to keep on going back and referring to them. You've got a list of all these, maybe in one place that you go back to every now and then. But you can kind of just see how you've progressed, like with each one. And because you're always looking at it and because you're always conscious of it, you find yourself more like naturally progressing towards these goals, rather than like just focus like, oh, I need to get this done, and then I need to get this done. Like you just kind of find yourself seamlessly working towards it because you're conscious of it. And I think, yeah, for me, it's always been something that like, I've tried to go down the strict route. And I've tried to like be really rigid with it. Like, oh, if I want to wake up early, I say like, okay, 7 a.m. But if somehow, I don't know, maybe if I'm watching Netflix and I'm staying up till like 2:30, 3 a.m., waking up at 7 doesn't really make sense. Because I've literally just ruined the whole next day because I'm
not an option.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So like now I'm thinking, I'll be working towards my goals, like trying to improve my self-discipline, but I need to just go with what works. Like, and understand there's a process. It's like you can't just go from having like zero self-discipline to being like at that 10-10 level.
Yeah,
it's gonna take time, and like it's like a slow progress in building it.
Yeah, I think for me, I need a lot more structure. I find it sort of easy to see a goal and want to get there, but I find it hard to plan the like route to get there. So I need to be a bit more like cold turkey, as in if I wanted to wake up early, I need to just set an alarm and wake up early, no matter what happened the night before. I just need to get up and do it. Because I've tried kind of like easing myself into it, but yeah, it just doesn't work for me. But everyone's different, aren't they? So
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I think it does vary between people as well, in sort of your styles of trying to pick up new good habits or unlearn bad habits, right? Is for the most part, I think people they try to do like they go for a cold turkey, right? So Sabrina, you're doing New Year's resolutions, right? So I'm assuming all of those are just straight cold turkey, whatever it is.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah.
But that's your mindset behind it, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, something for me. I really do respect people who can do it. I know for me, I can't. So it's either, or I have to find a substitute for it. So something I found is, for example, to sort of unlearn a bad habit, I've tried to replace it with almost like a distraction, but a productive distraction, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, it's like an alternative way to spend your time rather than doing the other thing. Kind of.
Yeah.
Give us an example.
I mean, it'll be like whenever I think about, for example, I'm working, right? And then typical distractions, for example, scrolling through social media or something, is as soon as I think about that, I'll just be like, okay, now I've got to do 10 press-ups. It's
like a punishment.
If reprogramming your mind.
Yeah, if you watch me in my room, I'm pretty sure it would look hilarious, right? I'll just be working and all of a sudden I just start busting out press-ups on the floor. But it works in a way, or it distracts your mind for the time being, because I think I read this from Atomic Habits. I don't know if you guys heard about that book.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
We literally got it.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't heard of that.
So, by James Clear. Yeah, that's the one. I read this book a lot.
Are you sponsored?
I mean, I should be by the amount I talk about it, but I think essentially, so when it comes to habits and discipline, every action sort of has every habit has a trigger, right? So, for example, if you see your phone, that in itself is the trigger, which can cause you to go on to use your phone. But instead of so once you understand that process, you kind of have to replace that stage of, okay, that trigger's happened, and that's usually how you go on to just do that bad habit. You just force yourself for the first sort of few weeks or months to do something else, no matter what it is, and then that new trigger then becomes something else, or that old trigger becomes something else, if that makes sense. So this is a really interesting book as well. Or you'll tie it into something that you already do. For example, you'll wake up and we brush our teeth, or at least I hope we do, right? Sometimes we get lazy, I don't know. And so, for example, when I try to pick up a new habit like meditation, this is something I'm trying to do now as well, because I used to meditate more regularly, but not as much now. Is that as soon as I'll brush my teeth, I will meditate immediately after that. So in turn, I associate, sounds weird, but I will associate brushing my teeth with meditation.
Yeah, like directly after
meditation, in a way.
Yeah. Or brushing my teeth.
You're like, oh, come on.
Exactly. Clean teeth, clean mind. That's what they say. But yeah, something like that. All these different things I've been trying out, because I know for me, it's just I've really lacked consistency in the past in terms of my goals. Whether that be from sort of lack of discipline or not prioritizing my goals again. So yeah, I think that's why I asked you guys, because I wanted to know as well, especially with because I'm thinking obviously you guys have graduated, me and Olu about to graduate, so things like that will obviously be very useful. And I also wanted to ask in terms of how you guys found the difference from sort of being in uni to then graduating, and then how has that affected your goal setting or discipline, or has it improved it? Has it changed your methods in any way?
I'd say getting a good final degree kind of grade was the biggest priority in my last year.
Yeah.
That was kind of because I know when you're looking for jobs, there's kind of a threshold, like they say it's a 2-1, right? If you don't get a 2-1, you're going to struggle to find top jobs, let's say. But obviously it's not in all cases. So that was kind of my priority. Then afterwards, it was about finding a job. So I kind of learned that no matter what point you are in your life, there's always going to be something you're striving to achieve. There's always going to be a next obstacle, and that's why I kind of resigned myself to just trying my best and letting things happen as they happen, and not being too caught up in the outcome. For example, applying to jobs can be literally hit and miss. You can be a perfect candidate, or you can have all the qualifications, but you just don't get it. and you might not even find out why. So yeah, especially I think that happened especially after uni when I was struggling to find work. Although I will say that I was one of the lucky ones because I managed to find work quite relatively quickly. That don't kind of you're trying to the goal that you set is obviously what you think that you need at that time, but you not hitting that goal might open up doors somewhere else. It might cause you to realize that actually maybe another goal, maybe another job, maybe another path, it was actually better for me. Not to get too philosophical, but I've realized that everyone has a different kind of path, and setting goals is good, disciplining yourself is good, but do not get too caught up on the result or the outcome.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's kind of, so long as your system is good, right, in terms of your daily routines, I suppose. Yeah, you're definitely right, because I think that affects a lot of people. I think it's, I mean, especially with jobs, do you know what I mean? In terms of like, even now, so because it's COVID, right, and jobs are that hard to find. I know for myself as well, when I was applying for placements, I was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard it was.
And yeah, you apply for so many jobs, and you get a lot of rejections, and it's tough. It is tough, and yeah, you're right. It's that knowing that what you're doing isn't a waste of your time, and eventually it will allow yourself or it will open you to new opportunities somewhere
Absolutely,
down the line, with the right
skills. For me, it was quite difficult because when I kind of neared my third year exams, I had the realization that I didn't want to go into a career with that degree. So I wanted a complete like subject change. So my goal in third year was just like study as hard as I can and get the grade that I want, but then knowing that I could kind of get it under my belt and leave that subject behind and try and like find a new career path. And so because of that, I know some people, they have, from GCSEs, they know, okay, I want to be a doctor, so I need this and this, and I'm going to get to this next stage and next stage. Whereas for me, I didn't really have that career goal, so I didn't know what steps to take. So I was just doing what I enjoyed and what I was good at, kind of thing. So now I'm out of uni and trying to find a job in an area that is not relative to my degree. It's really difficult to kind of prove myself to the employer that I am like hardworking or whatever. It's difficult to put on your CV that you're this and this without a degree to back it up, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
And recently I got rejected as well from a job, and I got really bummed out about that. But then you just have to move on to the next one. You just have to think, okay, this wasn't for me, and there's going to be something better coming, and all you can do is just prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure I'm kind of in the same shoes in that sort of my degree probably isn't something that I want to pursue as a career. And yeah, I suppose that's why I'm taking the time now just to learn as many new things as possible. But so how have you found that in terms of, so when you, what is it that you studied?
I studied sports science and physiology.
You studied sports science and physiology. Okay. So it's like when you came to that realization that you sort of didn't want to pursue this as a career, so what kept you going, even though, was it just a case of, I'm just going to do this just to get it done?
Kind of, yeah. Because I still did enjoy it.
Okay.
But knowing that it's not my kind of career path, it was difficult to keep going. And I did get to the point where I was thinking, I just need to get this done. I'm not kind of, I knew I didn't put as much effort in as I should have done as well, which is, looking back, is like annoying. It's one of my regrets. But I mean, I don't look at it as a regret, but I mean, it's
tough when the passion's sort of not there anymore, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it was just really difficult, but I got through it. So
it's strange as well because when we go through kind of the school system, primary, secondary school, sixth form or college, you get so used to having to perform in subjects that you're not entirely interested in, right? So I feel like that can come in handy later on in life, where it can be in a job, it can be in more education, where you find yourself learning about something. There's plenty of modules that I did at uni where I just wasn't kind of too invested in it, but you kind of get that mindset, especially from school, that you just listen, you take notes, you get ready for your exam, you hand in your assignments on time, and you just try your best and take what you can get from it and leave it behind when you're finished.
I think that's the right mentality to have regarding education. And I'm just like curious, like I'm going to try and hijack this because like education is something that I'm quite passionate about, and like something that I'm just interested in hearing people's perspectives on. Like, would you say, that sort of results based mindset is like maybe not the correct one, but like the best one? Like, to go through school, like I just want to get the highest grades. Do you think that's like the best way to learn?
It's definitely the way that we're taught how to learn. Like, I think we
yeah,
can all agree on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially like in most school systems, that's the case. Because progress or kind of achievement is based on numbers and grades and stuff. But I think for a youngster, when you're below 18, when you don't really understand what the world's like and what you can do with the education that you've received, it's good to get something. It's good to get good results and try and everything, because you don't actually know how that will benefit you in the future. There's plenty of stuff that you learn at school, maybe not like algebra or something, but
Pythagoras.
Sometimes it comes in handy, like in the weirdest senses. Even now, like sometimes I find that something I learned at school is just kind of crept up, and it came in handy. But even if it doesn't come in handy, you just never know. You don't know what the future's going to hold. So the mindset that you should be trying your best and everything is important, but your success based on results, I think, is not the kind of mindset you should impose on young people. You should impose on trying your best, but not the fact that if you do get a poor result, it means that this is not for you.
Yeah, like I mean, I agree like with you in that it should be effort that's like rewarded and encouraged. Obviously, and there still needs to be that like results based like mindset, because at the end of the day, you need to get results, and like you need to be able to like prove yourself and show that you're competent. But like I can say for me, my biggest regrets at school were just not trying hard enough. There's like, I think back, so many different subjects that you're learning about. Like you're never gonna get that opportunity to like learn so many things ever again. And I regret not trying hard enough, but like at the same time, you gotta have fun. Like I managed to have fun at school, and like, I think that's like worth something. But going like back to that point, about like whether it's like the best sort of mindset to be impressing on young people or not. At first I used to be like, no, you have to just like let people just like learn fluidly, like just not in this rigid system, the school system where they got this curriculum that you need to actually teach the kids how to learn. And I definitely agree with that. I think that could be like implemented more into the system. But I think for kids who aren't self-motivated, you kind of need that, like you need to give them this target. Like I could say that for me at school, like I did need a lot of encouragement from teachers to like get the work done and like make sure I was like on it. But I think there is like merit in both. but it's just like about trying to find the right balance and like how
Absolutely.
can you like put more of that like encouragement towards like teaching people how to learn, like so they can help themselves later on. And that was like a big issue for me going into uni, and the first year was not a nice experience.
Yeah.
I went to like literally just be by myself, like, oh my gosh, I have to learn everything. Like these lecturers do not care if I do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
They
like
don't care if I show up or anything. Yeah.
exactly. It's all on me. And that was a big shock. But eventually, like, you know, I had to like take time, and it's like goes back to goal setting, and it's just like teaching myself slowly how to learn and trying to like just trust the process, because at first it's quite hard, but like just slowly start doing things which you think make sense and like think will benefit you in the long run, and eventually they just tend to. And you know, it can be small things. Like I decided, okay, I'm gonna have a folder that has every tutorial, every lecture note, and it's all gonna be in one place. Just because, like, well, it's something that my dad used to always tell me to do, and I wasn't really listening. And all the paper was just like accumulating on my desk. So eventually I got that, and I felt more organized. I could see I knew where everything was, and it was just like, okay, I think this will be a good idea. I'll just try and stick with it, and it just managed to like benefit in the long run. Because when lockdown came in, and we had like no more lectures, I could like refer back to everything that I already had, and like I was confident that it was there. But,
yeah, no, I agree with like what you said, and especially with the organization thing. I feel like the level or the degree of organization in your mind is reflected in your kind of surroundings. So it shows like a kind of a change in your mind's organization, that now you're able to like you said, organize your lecture notes, know where everything is, and when you did it, and you can refer back to it when you need to.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie, does this because you were talking about like you being back in school, right? And not doing so well, but would you say that's because the things that you learned and you weren't really interested in, or whether it was laziness? And not to call you out or anything, right?
Oh,
it's kind of like a
straight up it was laziness.
because
Like,
okay, because some people will argue that, for example, like we talk about results, right? And a lot of people will argue that even, let's say, if you do try hard but you don't come out with the result that you expected, that's more so an indicator that perhaps that thing, that subject, that topic or whatever isn't for you, right? And that your strengths are you best utilized somewhere else. Because I feel like in uni or a work or just in life in general, there's going to be a lot of things that we have to do that we don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
And so, for example, so when that happens, is how do you have the discipline to get through that? Because for me, that's sort of my biggest struggle, knowing that, because when it is something I'm super passionate about, it's easy, right? It's kind of, you have the endless energy to do it. But yeah, whether that's modules that I'm not really interested in, or this, or work, whatever it is, there's a lot of things that we don't really have a lot of passion for. But it's when it's that is, do you think it's worth doing? Sometimes you have to do it, but do you think it's worth doing? And to, if it is, how do you go about keeping yourself motivated, not having the willpower to do that? For me, it's literally just, okay, I sort of see myself in the future, or in the very near future, if I do this, then if I get this done, then I can do this. Kind of like giving myself a reward for it, you know, in a way.
It's not really easy. It's like, I remember one time, I think you probably would have heard the book, like I think it's Steve Covey, like Seven Habits
of Highly Effective People.
There's like one for teenagers. There's like a teenage version of that, and I remember reading that when I was young. And I was just like, I was just intrigued. I was like, maybe I can be a highly effective teenager myself. So I was reading this book, like, and there was one part about school and like different like quotes from kids, like who maybe like they're doing well, I don't know, like later on in life. And there was one quote which was like, there's no like secret formula to like get your homework done. Like you just have to do it. And it's like it's one of those ones where like you want there to be this crazy thing that, you know, like, oh, if I do this and then like I do that, then I'm just gonna be able to get this done easily. But like the fact of the matter is, you know, it's hard. You're probably not gonna enjoy it, but like it's just something that you have to do as an obstacle that you have to overcome. And I think like fair enough, it might not be like helpful, but it is helpful to just like make sure that you don't lie to yourself about it. Like it might not be enjoyable, but you know, I've decided that this is something that I do need to overcome to get to where I need to be. So like it's either, you know, I get to where I need to be or I don't. And that's probably like the best way to look at it. Just see it for what it is, knowing that there's no like magic button that you can press that's gonna make it easy. But and I'm not saying that's easy. This is something that I find really hard to do as well. But like sometimes, like, you know, the more you try it, the better you get at it. So I'm just trying to like do the small things, even if it's just like washing up the dishes like immediately. But yeah, you can build onto the bigger things, and I think
it's like practice for getting used to doing things that you don't want to do, and like you guys were saying earlier, life's full of that, so kind of get used to it. As blunt as that is.
Yeah.
I think it's different to the way it comes at you as well, because I remember in school I didn't really enjoy maths, didn't enjoy physics. I kind of found it confusing. I didn't, you know, some people just kind of get it, but I just wasn't one of those people. Whereas in uni I had a biomechanics module, and that was literally just full of physics and maths. And I remember my lecturers just helped it click in my mind, and it ended up being one of my highest grades in biomechanics. And I think, yeah, just depending on how you're taught and how it's visualized for you, like even just writing something down on a piece of paper and you can actually see it. Like it goes back to writing down your goals. When you can actually see it physically, you kind of, I don't know, it just clicks in your mind a lot easier. And I mean, I'm a visual learner, so that's how it is for me. But yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah. It is all about like how it's packaged, and each person kind of it'll be complementary to you in the way, like there's different ways it's complementary to different people. So you can be taught to the same things, the same thing by two different people, and you'll get it from one person and you won't from the other. And I can hand on my heart say that was literally what mechanics was like at Loughborough between first and second year. Basically learn the same things but from two different lecturers, and one I actually enjoyed and one I didn't. So
yeah, and it's different as well when you've got people around you who are interested in the same thing, because I feel like in school everyone has to do maths because it's one of the core things. Whereas in uni, the people on my course, they were actually interested in it as well, and a lot of them did get good grades in school for maths and physics. So having that support as well from people your own age and like you just hang out with generally, but they can support you through that as well, that really helped me.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well, I think. Yeah, having a support group to in a way keep you accountable, that's something that I've missed, and I know I've missed from the uni environment, or just, you know, in a pre-COVID environment anyways. And that's something I've had to learn recently, is actually being able to, I used to think that I could do a lot of things by myself, but
Same.
yeah, but really it was, even though I was working by myself, as in I'd be sitting in a room by myself, I'd always gone to interact with multiple other people who were doing the same thing as me. And so just those sort of conversations kept me accountable. And that's something that I didn't realize until I didn't have those conversations anymore. I didn't have those people in my local proximity. And yeah, so having that self-discipline is something that I've really had to work on, especially now. But it's good, I suppose, that I'm working on it, or a lot of people are working on things like that.
Yeah, I think it's just like that point that you touched on as well. Having people around you there's something like so powerful in collaboration, and like, you know, I feel like there's one proverb, I can't remember how it goes, but it's something like along the lines of like run alone if you want to run fast.
You can go
Run far.
You can go fast alone, but you can go far together.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
something like that.
Ancient proverb.
You get the vibes. You get the like working with other people. I just feel it's so important. Back in school days, like I was very competitive. Like, I always wanted to be the best. So like, I didn't care what it was. It could be like the spelling test that I used to do each week. It could be literally like in the playground. We're playing like Bulldog. I have to win. I was just like on it, every single thing. And it's like, obviously, when you always want to be alone, it's lonely at the top. It's lonely at the top. What can I say? But like when you're always focused like that by yourself, it can be a bit lonely at times. And like, I think over the years, I had to like learn, like, I think this really helps even like in further maths when I was in school. Like, everyone kind of getting together a bit more. Like, it was that focus goal. Like, okay, this is hard. There's been times in school where it's like, there'd always be some person who's not struggling. But in that class, we finally saw that everyone struggled at some point. And like, just that recognition that, okay, no one's invincible. Everyone needs help at some point. You know, I even like used to not like asking the teachers for help at times, but like just learn that no one gets to like a high level by themselves. No one does. So there's no shame in like taking help and like, you know, building with other people. It doesn't always have to be by yourself. I think, yeah, that's just something that'll be really helpful moving forward, especially like keeping yourself motivated, keeping yourself disciplined, just keeping those people around you who like have that same vision and that growth mindset. It's super useful.
It's interesting you say that, bro. I was going to say, how do you have a mindset of wanting to be the best in everything? And then you say you struggled in school.
Well, when I say I struggled in school, it was like, I did like well in terms of like getting the grades.
Yeah.
But like I struggled like in terms of like in the lessons, I wouldn't be focused, or like outside of the lessons, I wasn't doing my homework. Or sometimes like I'd be late to lessons, like I'd be talking in class. Like I wasn't like as disciplined. I wasn't like a studious student, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
I could have been a bit more like serious about it, but yeah, I was just competitive. It was, to me, it was more just like, oh yeah, I was just competing with my mates. It wasn't like, okay, I need to study.
Oh, okay,
that was more like primary school. Secondary school was a bit different.
I see that. Okay, well, here's the thing. You guys think competition is good for productivity? And if so, to what extent and to what level is it good until it gets toxic? If it gets toxic.
I think it has to definitely be a healthy level. If there's too much competition,
how much is too much? How much is too much?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I feel like we can agree that you definitely need competition.
You do need it, but I think if you're in a workplace and someone is on your team doing the same kind of role as you,
yeah,
and they're doing something just slightly that bit better, then you can either think of it as, okay, they're my colleague, I can get tips from them to kind of help me in my role to get better, or you can think of it as, oh, they're better than me, I need to do this and this to get better than them, I need to be the best, and things like that. So I think it's always healthy to have like someone there that's maybe even a bit better than you, so it can push you, but it's all about your own mindset, thinking, okay, it'd be good for me to get to that level rather than I need to be better than that person, if you see what I mean.
Yeah Your personal thing.
I asked that because I've seen some it's very funny things happen when it comes to people competing over just stupid things, you know. It's one of those things where people are sly about it, but they'll like try and support you, but secretly
They want to one up you or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just like, yo, chill. This is just this is just marketing, like a marketing module. Also much how much clout can you gain from beating me in that? But yeah, you're right. In terms of it does push me as well. It's more so in the case of it sets a standard for me, you know, by seeing what other people around me are doing, because people do say you shouldn't compare yourself to others, to which I think is true, in that focus on yourself, focus on how you can do everything that you're doing the best for yourself, right? But I do think having other people around to compare is good in the sense that you get a decent level in terms of seeing like where people are, right? Because I mean that's why being in the right environment is so good, because if you're around people who are super productive, you're more likely to be just as productive as them, and vice versa. If they're not productive, you probably won't be either, right? And yeah, so that's something that I've always thought about, is sort of putting myself in those right environments, but at the same time knowing that these people, although we do a lot, we're also here to support each other. Because yeah, if it gets a bit too competitive, then stuff gets a bit ugly. And
I was gonna say, as long as the competition isn't at the expense of other people,
yes,
then that's where it stays healthy. But as soon as you're kind of trying to sabotage someone purely in the sense of competition, then it's obviously just becoming toxic, and it's just it will get ugly.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot in uni, actually.
Happens everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Such as the entire world, isn't it? Companies, you know, all these big Fortune 500 companies, everything like that. They're all in competition.
Yeah, it's like sometimes like I think it doesn't exist until like these things have happened. I'm like, oh well.
I think they call it free market capitalism, right?
That's what it is, you know. That's just the way we live, you know. It's the world we live in. So do what you can, I suppose. But yeah, you're right. Competition at the expense of no one else.
Yeah. I don't know if it's possible.
You know what? Yeah, I was about to say, like, I do think it's impossible to like have it like that without like, because the whole idea behind competition is
where there's winners, there will also be losers.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Where there's winners, there's got to be losers. So there's always going to be someone who's losing out. But it'll definitely like force you to the right kind of competition. Okay, like you mentioned the example, like competing with your colleagues is never really good. You know, like you're sharing the same office space. But if like I was selling, I don't know, some milkshakes, and someone else selling milkshakes, like I think that's healthy competition, because it's like we're not mates. We're not pretending to be friends like to each other's faces and then stabbing each other in the back, right in the backs. We're both like pushing each other to literally just make the best milkshakes. And I think like that is a kind of like healthy competition. Obviously, this is crazy. It's like we're literally just describing. We're doing that capitalism versus socialism thing right now.
I mean, here's the thing, right? It's like, it sounds weird, but when I think about it, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have been in the same scenario, but when you feel like somebody doubts you, or when somebody does doubt you, that fuels you so much, or at least it did for me, because now you're like, well, look, I'm going to show you. Do you know what I mean? It's
my honor.
And I feel like if I had that sort of drive the whole time, I would be so much more productive. But I don't think that would be healthy.
Yeah, I feel like I'd also just be crazy.
Yeah.
Nah, you need some downtime.
Yeah, so but no, it's interesting to think as well, because obviously people have different methods. Everyone has different methods in terms of keeping themselves motivated, and I know competition is quite big for a lot of people. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think about that. But
can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because when I was in uni, a big thing for me was I was only really motivated to do my uni work when I was at the library, and I was only really motivated to do a workout when I was at the gym. And when I was at home, I had to, if it was like really snowy and rainy in Manchester, and I didn't want to go outside, I didn't want to get to the library, and I had to do it at home, I had to really force myself to get into the mindset of like getting my laptop out and doing the work at home, because I associate, my mind associates being in a certain place with
Exactly.
feeling a certain way. So how do you guys feel now it's in like lockdown or in COVID times, and you're still doing like uni work? Like, how do you separate it in your mind to be motivated to do your work and do other things?
It's so funny you say that. I mean, that's how almost all of us are living right now, right? I know for me, so I'll probably spend more days in just this exact room than probably the previous 3 years, right? Because it's just where I work now, it's also where I sleep. And you're right, is that usually, so when you're at uni or when you can go outside, there's a place for you to work, there's a place for you to chill. And for me, in some ways, if you can maybe replicate that, even with minimal spacing, it could help. I don't know if this is the best approach, but for example, I used to work sort of downstairs, and then there would be a table with, I think, about 4 chairs. And on one chair, I would associate working on that chair. And then when I would eat my lunch, I'll sit on a different chair and only eat lunch and chill when I was sat on that chair. And basically trying to replicate it, even though you have limited space and that you can only be at home. That's what you do. And it kind of works. It worked for me for a bit, but then I got lazy. And then that's why I'm here in this room now. But then it just, I sort of just associate working with this room now. But on the flip side, I do have to change that, because now it makes it hard for me to sort of sleep and chill a bit more. But yeah,
the other chairs.
What about the other chairs? You know, I might just have to buy 6 chairs and put them in my room.
Exactly.
And then have them for
a couple beanbags as well.
A couple beanbags, couple pillows. But yeah, having that, trying to replicate obviously an environment where you associate different things with different spaces, no matter how little, has helped me. And also scheduling, I think just scheduling breaks. Obviously that comes in general, but even more so when I think you're at home, because everything, at least for me, everything is like tied together because you're in the same place, right? So you wake up in the same room, and then you just take a few minutes and really you can start working right away, right? Because you don't have to go anywhere. But scheduling breaks just for me to be more aware of the fact that there's actually outside, and keeping myself aware of just, I don't know, just it helps me to be more present, and that just being present helps me to work, I think. Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to try that thing with the chairs, but but yeah.
Check if I have enough chairs.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's always been more about like my mentality, like before like I decide to work rather than the location. So like I do work like at home. I work in the library as well. Like that's still open. There's the engineering department. I don't really go there as often, but like I have those options there. But it's, for me, it's like if I can maintain like, you know, a state of mind, like stay motivated, just like literally things like reading those goals that I've written down. Like I'll just be focused. I've got like the ideal version of myself I'm looking at like maybe a year from now. And like when I stay focused on that, it's not hard to do work. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like, oh yeah, this is just what I'm meant to be doing. This is like the path that I'm trying like to go down. But I definitely think staying in the same place for too long is just not helpful. Exercising like is very important. Just like as I go to work on the weekends and like I ride my bike to work. But just doing that like every week, like going there back and forth, like that's just something like I get some exercise in. Like I go on walks, like if I go to the library, I can just walk there or take my bike again, getting that fresh air, like actually seeing sunlight. Do you know what I mean? These things are so important. Like, so I'm just trying to like keep my schedule busy, like eat fairly healthy meals,
Yeah.
like go do exercise and do all these things more or less just to like preserve like my mental state so I can remain focused. And then like I feel like everything else kind of like falls into place after that because I know I'm aiming for it. I know I'm like where I'm heading.
You know, I suppose the home equivalent of that is taking walks to your living room. or like from the living room to the kitchen.
Or you could do like walking lunges when you're going around your house or something.
Pretty much just a workout at the same time, you know. Yes, exercise is definitely underrated. Yeah, and that's also something I feel like has been hard for a lot of people is staying healthy, right? But like, yeah, you have to understand is that your mind and your body they work together. You know, if one isn't healthy, then the other won't be as well, pretty much. And so, yeah, you do have to prioritize that, even if it's only 15 minutes a day of exercise. Again, that's what the breaks are good for. And yeah, I also try and work with other people when I can. I know when G had his Zoom setup calls, those really helped me, just seeing another person now. So yeah, if that's a possible strategy, then you might be able to try that. But yeah, in terms of, so I know it's been really tough for me, for example, like trying to visualize how I'm gonna do things in a year's time because I don't know how short things are, right? Mm-hmm. But do you guys still visualize yourselves, for example, in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, right? And if you do, what does that look like specifically for you guys?
I've never really thought about where I'm going to be that far ahead, and as I've gotten older, I've definitely put a lot more thought into that and thinking not really like career, but more kind of like family orientated, like marriage and like kids or whatever. So yeah, it's difficult to think about the future and then also accept that whatever's going to come to you is just going to come at the right time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Adnan?
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm probably like a believer in the same things. I know not everyone is like people call it like destiny or whatever, or
fate.
But fate. Yeah. But yeah, you can make. I absolutely think that everyone should have goals and places they want to be in the future. You know, situations they want to be in the future. And try their best. But yeah, if it doesn't happen the way you want it to do, or if it happens a different way, then you kind of just roll with the punches and the highs and the lows. And at the end of the day, you'll get to where you want to get to.
I think it's also important. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, get to where you want to get to, and or if not, maybe somewhere better that you hadn't imagined.
Yeah, I was going to say I've definitely learned as well to live in the present. So like when I was younger, I never thought that far in the future, kind of like 5 years or even a year. But I used to think kind of like in 2 weeks ahead type thing. Whereas now I've got the goals in like 5 years time that I want to achieve, but I'm more mentally present. And
sure.
I think that's really important in like reducing anxiety and because I have struggled with anxiety like a fair bit, so realizing that I need to live in this present moment and not worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, or what did I do in the past that I regret or that made me feel silly or whatever it was. You just need to live in the moment, because I don't know, there was also a TikTok, right, that I watched, and it was saying that the past isn't like real, it's just your imagination, and the future is just your imagination. It's literally like what you've got right now in the present is what's real. So you shouldn't like worry about the past, you should just learn from the past, and then in the future you should set your goals. But like Adnan said, don't kind of like work way too hard and put yourself down if you don't achieve them, kind of thing. You just need to take what's coming to you and yeah, just do what you feel is best in that situation at that time.
Definitely, for sure. That's been one of the biggest things that I've learned whilst I've been at home, working from home, and just during COVID as well, is trying to stay present. Because so I feel like as much as we feel like we have control of our lives, ultimately, the past is out of our control, and the future is in similar ways is also out of our control. It's like obviously we can set goals, but we don't know what will come up here and there in the future, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, knowing that it's in a way dumb to try and control everything, every outcome and whatnot. So staying present, trying to be present, that's something that meditation obviously helps a lot with. And then it's been very big for me too. Yeah, it's super important right now when obviously anxiety is quite high for a lot of people, and as is just in general the world and everything that's happening. Is just good to stay present in the moment, but also having hope and having faith that things are gonna be better, and whatever comes your way will be the right thing for you. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, I think that brings us to a close for today. But it has been lovely. I always like these episodes because a lot of the time I don't even know the guests that well beforehand.
Same.
And it's just like interesting to hear like what you got to say, like, all your different perspectives. It's been like really helpful for me anyway, to take some of those on board. And yeah, it's always just nice like conversation. But yeah, it's been a good time. So, I want to ask you guys as well, just quickly. If you had one take-home message for the audience, like what would you tell them? What would you leave them with?
Buy a 6-pack of chairs. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone's gonna think I'm some chair. I have a chair obsession now, to which I do clearly.
Take home message. Let's see. We can always cut the silence out.
No. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be related to what we talked about. Just anything, and that's
I'm talking
helped
about
you recently or overall. What's been like a big lesson for you, or your biggest takeaway?
Maybe what we were saying about living in the present. Like, I feel like that's so important because, like Sabrina was saying about like thinking too much about the future makes you anxious. Thinking too much about the past makes you anxious. And that anxiety just robs you from enjoying what's happening right now.
Definitely.
So, and it's like something you're doing to yourself. It's not even like someone's inflicting it on you. It's you do it to yourself. And it's so important to kind of change your mindset from that kind of thinking and become more present, and you'll feel more healthy because of it. You'll be able to achieve more. You'll be able to be more productive. You'll be able to get things done. And yeah.
Nice. Sabrina?
Yeah, I think mine is, so when we were saying about the goal setting, and Olu was saying about just like kind of going with the flow. And like I literally said just earlier that I need a bit more kind of like structure. But I think what Olu said about just going with the flow, it's actually a lot better with living in the present. Like they those two kind of like go hand in hand, because you just take it on what is coming at you like as it comes. So I think my takeaway message is to not think, okay, I need a specific plan for my goals. I just need to like kind of write down the steps I need to take, but also just like still go with the flow and see whatever comes my way. I just deal with it then and there.
Yeah, definitely. That's a solid takeaway as well. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, staying in a moment and yeah, dealing with things as they come, isn't it? It's that overall message. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on today. It's been really, really cool talking to you guys, as it always is when I'm on this podcast. Get to know a lot of different perspectives. Get to talk about some random stuff that I do as well. That maybe people don't know. I know the chairs thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's been really cool. And I hope people listening get some takeaway out of that. And yeah, it's really, really cool. I love doing this and just having these conversations with you guys about this. So yeah,
I think these kind of things don't get talked about enough, and yeah, even if one person listens in and is like, actually, I relate to that, and that kind of helped me, is a win.
Come on, shout out to the 3 listeners that we have so far, or more, or a bit more than that, I think, right now. But yeah, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you again for coming on today.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. This is the G Team podcast hosted by me, Peter,
and me, Olu.
And we hope you guys will have a good day.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the G Team podcast. You can catch more episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, where we try to build our lives one step at a time.